All right, so this is the story of when we went to Kilimanjaro and mountain biked up and down it over the course of 8 days.
Yeah, that was an awesome trip.
It was my idea to originally do Kilimanjaro, but then you discovered that you can mountain bike it instead.
Yeah, I was just looking at itineraries at different websites and saw one of them talked about mountain biking. And so then that became the enough for me to want to do it. I didn't really cherish going all the way up there and then all the way down hiking.
But yeah, so then the arrival day we flew into Kilimanjaro airport in Arusha, and our guides were there with the bike strapped on top. They picked us up, and then we went for a super cool shakeout ride, and we saw some super cool stuff. We saw like giraffes, we saw some elephants from afar, and some impala. And the next day we started our adventure. On the first day, we started at Londerosi Gate. Then we started up at a slightly higher point, and at that point it was raining, so it was a rainy start. We were wearing all our rain gear on the bikes. We got going with our guide, so that's Ilabariki that we're with. And then I think it was a pretty straightforward day up until we had some bike mechanic issues. So we had to turn back a little early, but then we went to our first camp. This is Shira 1 camp. And then we saw some great stars at night. It's pretty beautiful.
So we only had day packs.
That's right. So we just, all that stuff in our backpacks were just like jackets, like a layer, and all of our
and food and for the day, right? Yeah.
For the day. This is our other guide, Jackson, and he briefly took us on a hike up to Cathedral Point.
Then we hiked back down, but then got on our bikes. And for these days, we were able to bike the whole way. So I was thinking, okay, great. This is
I think it got off to a smooth start in terms of biking. It was like the first road was very smooth.
Yeah.
Getting up to Shira 2 was pretty smooth.
Yep.
And yeah, so then this is Shira 2 camp. This is also a pretty large one. I think these are two of the most popular ones for people to start at.
Right.
And then we got to some more fun, at least in my opinion, fun single track
downhill. Oh, that was
downhill.
fine. Yeah, I love that too. Yep. That was pretty typical terrain for that leg.
Yeah, so it looked like that for about most of that ride. So this is Mora camp, and then you can see the top of Kilimanjaro where we're heading for the next couple days. And then, honestly, I think a bit more of the same terrain.
Yeah, totally.
Just rolling along the side until we started getting to some more tricky parts.
So up until this point, we had carried our bikes up and over all the hills and down them. But I think at this point we were, I don't know, toward the end of the day, and they asked if we wanted to have them carry them down, and I think I volunteered.
Yeah. This is where the terrain, I think, got a little bit more tricky for longer sections, where it was pretty technical weaving between rocks, but that definitely slowed us down. And then this is Pofu camp.
Yeah.
We had some great sunrises once we were up above, and sunsets right when you're up above the.
Oh yeah, no, it was super pretty views.
Yeah. So this is some of the stuff that we had to carry our own bike over. It wasn't too crazy, but just was not feasible for us to
you couldn't ride it.
So that was a good amount of our day up until third cave camp. All the camps were very open. There isn't much big vegetation out there, but had a great view of the mountain. And then this day was a slog for sure. So this is our hike up to the highest camp we stayed at, which was School Hut.
That was pretty much a walking one. It was too steep to bike. I think with the walking was the most efficient way, pushing the bike. Although that's kind of depressing from a from a mountain biking perspective because you're pushing your bike instead of riding it.
I remember seeing one of the porters carrying like I think a giant 50+ pound thing like right on his head, like
just on his head. Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, their balance, their strength. Yeah, they were just whistling while they worked.
I'm like, us in every
no, I was impressed.
We eventually made it up to the top of School Hut, and that was quite an accomplishment. That was I think the highest altitude that both of us have camped at. Definitely.
Camped at. That was 15 something.
So then we got in that night, and then this is us at our 3 a.m. summit push when we're taking off for the top.
I did wake up and bid you goodbye and then go back to sleep.
Yeah, you get points for that. To clarify, I was not like wheeling my bike up even at the start of the summit. Two of the porters had the bike strapped to their backpacks. Credit to the porters, they carried the bike up for pretty much all of it, even through a light snowstorm or blizzard that came up. So these guys in the lights are the guys carrying our bikes while I'm just holding on with just myself. So we made our way up, and yeah, we did see a beautiful sunrise close to the summit. They had me bike up around 700 meters or so of biking. up to the actual summit. Made it up to the top, and then got to celebrate with Ilibriki, our awesome guide who got us through that whole trip. And then the best part of the trip for me was the reward of this awesome descent down from 19,000 feet, where we're just cruising above the clouds, flying along. So then I got off the bike, and then I believe I handed the bike back to the porters, and then I just hiked down.
You hiked
I
down the
walked
switchback.
down the switchback. And then after that, we got to this section. So what this was pretty much just a big gully of dirt that really had no stability. So you're just walking down it, and your feet are kind of sliding out from under you.
Right.
And it's like 3 miles of just that. So thankfully, once we got through the dirt section of that, we got to a part where I could actually ride the bike on gravel. And then we got to Kibo Hut, where you and the rest of the team were waiting. Got some high fives and celebrations from everyone. As part of the tradition that they'd been doing the whole trip, they were big on dance parties.
Yes.
And singing.
I loved it.
Oh, it was so fun. So every night we got into camp, they did some sort of singing and dancing and a little celebration of us making it to that next stage.
Yep.
And obviously the biggest one was after conquering the top, so we had a whole little celebration. Everyone was super happy. But we didn't stay at Kibo. After that, we went down to Harumbo. And on our way down from Harumbo, that was a pretty fun
That was a good
descent.
Yeah.
It was a nice grade and rideable for pretty much all of it.
Yep.
We had about
Okay.
7,000 feet of descending. So we descended on a lot of gravel until Harumbo.
Yep.
We got a picture with our whole team there. Got a nice sunrise before our last day, where we had another 7,000 feet, including on a road.
That was super bumpy. It was
And-
designed for a car to go up and still get traction in the rain because it was the emergency road. I was on my brakes the whole time.
And I remember my fingers were getting sore. Like I was like cramping up, and then you're like to the point where you can't really fully squeeze on your brakes. Yeah. So we were spending a while just kind of flying down that road up until we got to the rainforest, which was super cool.
We were in the rainforest on a dirt road, not on that concrete thing.
So then we had a long descent through that before we got starting to get in the outskirts of town, which was along the local village. We saw a woman and her daughter drying out some sort of plant on the side of the road, and we asked our guides about it, and they said, oh, you can come check out what they're making. And what it turns out they're making is something called mbege, which is banana beer. So as you can see here, she had mushed up a bunch of banana, and then they let that ferment for a while, and then that turns into a alcoholic drink. So that was really cool to see the process of them making that. So then we kept biking down. We got a lot of funny looks from the locals. We had been descending for about 8,000 feet over 2 days, and we assumed it kind of ended with that. We then just started climbing up a urban
full-on ride.
road
Yeah.
with other cars and such to get to the gate, and it was a pretty steep 2,000 feet?
Couple thousand feet.
Couple thousand
Yeah.
feet to get to this gate. So we had
we'll go look it up.
our uphill for sure, but made it to the gate. I got my certificate.
I did get a participation certificate for going on the trip.
So that was the last day. And it's pretty cool to see all the ground we covered.
Yeah, that was a fantastic way to see Kilimanjaro. There were so many different environments we saw and different terrain. I had a fantastic time.
Yeah, we definitely want to thank Ilibriki and Jackson from Summits Africa for guiding us on such an incredible trip, and one that we will always remember fondly.